Good morning, good morning. How is everyone this morning? We are going to be making fingerless gloves knitted that can go over corrective braces. It's going to require a little bit of measurement, and I'm going to kind of wait until a few more people come in. Still have a few more minutes until 8. I'm a little early. Hey, Blanche. How are you? No. Welcome in. Welcome, Gail. Texas Bestie. Welcome, welcome. We are going to be knitting fingerless gloves today. We are going to be working them flat. I'm doing very well. I don't know if you have received your package yet or not, but I did send it out last week. I haven't got any delivery confirmations. Welcome, Belinda. Get a little bit of water here. I'm doing pretty good, Blanche, pretty good. Hessa Life, how are ya? We are going to be making knitted fingerless gloves, and I don't know what the heck this mess is. This was laying over here. There we go. I might not use that one because it's not got a whole lot in it. Or I might have enough in one of these to do what I need. But I think I'll start off with this one. This will work. I need more yarn bowls. I made this yarn bowl back in 2018. I went to a ceramics place and painted it up, and they glazed it and all. It comes in handy. And I'm glad I had to pull that bowl out because I didn't have my device plugged in. We do not want to lose our charge here. So we are at 8 o'clock. And I'm going to go ahead and get started with those who are here. I have a lot of single gloves that I have to make another glove for, like the crocodile or the dragon scale gloves we did last week. I got to do another one. Welcome, Nana B. Welcome, welcome. So, we're going to start off looking at our yarn label. Looking at a worsted weight yarn label, if I can get this to zoom in here. We are going to be working with the size 8 needle, and it is telling us in a 4 by 4 inch square there should be 17 stitches, and that's using a size 8. So if we do a little bit of math and divide that down for a 1 inch and take the 17 and divide it by the 4, that gives us roughly 4 stitches per inch. So then what we're going to do with corrective brace on, if you're making this to go with a corrective brace, if not, welcome Yarn King, how are you? If you're making this to go over a brace, you're going to want to make sure to have your brace on, and you want to measure around your brace. Okay, I'm going to measure around the bottom part of my forearm, which is going to be the widest part for me because I want it to come down a little bit. I like my fingerless gloves to be a little bit longer, and we have 8 inches here. So we are going to do a little math. 4 stitches per inch times 8 is 32 stitches. So we are going to cast on 32 stitches. I'm going to be working flat. Even though I do have circular needles, I use these for space. And we are going to long tail cast on. For those of you who are new to knitting, long tail cast on. The tail, that's the reason why they call it long tail. You pull out a long tail. That tail I hang over my thumb. The string that goes to my skein of yarn goes over my index finger. And I pull them together like a little triangle here. I'm going to put our needle in between our hand and the yarn, and we are going to twist it so that it's twisted around the needle. That's one stitch. Okay, we have to add 31 more stitches. So for long tail cast on, for those of you who knit that don't know long tail cast on, you're going to go to the meaty part of your palm right here, and you're going to go up your thumb. See how it grabs that front string there. Then you're going to go over to the pad of your index finger, and you're going to run it down your finger. See how it goes behind that string there. I will hold these here with my fingers secure. Then you come back over here to your thumb and run back down your thumb, and it goes back down the hole that you originally came out of. You can drop your thumb at that point and then snug up. Don't make it tight. You want it to still be able to slide very easily up and down your needles. And I'll show you that again. Palm of your hand, up the thumb, down the finger, back down the thumb. There's your stitch right there. Okay, I'm going to put 32 stitches on here. There's 22. Might not have pulled a long enough tail out. We'll find out. 23. I'll get them on here. I only need 2 more. Maybe. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. And this is also another cast on. I need 2 more stitches, and I'm not going to be able to pull it out of that little piece there. So if you ever find that you don't have enough to cast on all the stitches that you need, and I'm kind of glad it worked out this way because I can show you another little tip. I need 2 more stitches. So I'm going to go in here as if to knit. And I'm going to knit a stitch. And instead of dropping this off, I'm going to put this stitch on here. This is also another cast on. It's a knitted cast on. And I only need 2 more stitches. So I'm going to go ahead and put those 2 stitches in there. 32 stitches. Now, to make the length of this, we are going to be knitting on one side and purling on the other side. I start off with a purl row because you can see these nice little purl bumps on the back side of here. Up on the front side you don't. So I'm going to go ahead and do a purl row, and I will demonstrate the purl stitch. Once I get down here to this other, I'm going to pick this up and work these 2 together. That's part of my weave-in process. So for a knit stitch, you go to the left of your stitch. You go in through your stitch into the back. There's a little tunnel created by this yarn wrapping around the needle. You're going right through that. It should look like this, and your yarn is to the back. Wrap it counterclockwise. Pull your loop through and knock it off there at the edge. Again, that's in from the left and up to the back. Wrap your yarn. Okay. And we're going to continue that all the way across. If anyone needs to see, then actually I'm doing a knit stitch and I should be doing a purl stitch. See, I'm catching myself up really quick. Watching through the camera view and not looking at the actual work, I see those purl bumps in there. So let's back up, tink back, and we'll start off with the purl stitch. So if not, we're going to have a little garter edge down there, and I don't want a little garter edge. So for the purl stitch, we are going to go from the right side of the stitch through and up the front. I don't know why it won't zoom in, probably because I got all these letters back here. Let me cover some of these up and see if that will allow me to zoom in. And of course I should have had my yarn. My yarn is to the front. Okay, and then again your yarn is to the front towards you. Counterclockwise wrap. And purl stitch. In from the right to the left, counterclockwise wrap. Welcome, welcome everyone. Everyone coming in. We're working on fingerless gloves to go over corrective splints, or if you have any like compression gloves or anything you have to wear on the daily, you don't want everybody seeing them. I'm showing you how to make them with a little bit of measurement. And I'm going to be teaching a little bit more of that, how to make things you want without a pattern. And we're purling across to the other side. And when we purl on one side and knit on the other, it is known as the stockinette stitch. Right now I'm just purling across. If anybody needs to see this purl stitch again, please let me know. For the beginning knitters, I'm here for everybody. The beginning, the intermediate, and the more seasoned crafters. I want to share all my ideas with everyone that I can possibly share them with. I'm working with the color Reef. It is Red Heart worsted weight yarn, a size 8 needle, which is recommended for the yarn. And we took a measurement of the forearm. Mine came out to 8 inches, and we did some math so we could figure out how many stitches we needed to cover the space that we wanted to cover. Now I'm going to be showing you this fingerless glove. It does get laced up, so we are going to be putting eyelets, little holes, up the sides so that we can lace them. This same concept can be used to make slipper socks. My mother made us slipper socks when we were younger, and they went all the way up to just below the knee, and I didn't catch that, but that's okay. We'll weave it in. So now we're going to do a purl row, or a knit row. I'm sorry, a knit row. I'm a little backwards this morning. You go in from the left of the stitch, in through, still counterclockwise wrapping. And we're going to work a couple of rows of knit and purl. Probably about 4 rows, and then we will do, actually we need to do an eyelet row on the next row. Actually, I should have done it on this row, but we'll do it on the next one. So that way you can see a yarn over. I'm going to teach you a yarn over, and it also gives us the hole that we need for our laces to run through. I'm going to split my stitch. Thank you for the likes. Welcome this and that. Okay, now this next row is going to be a purl row. We're going to go in about 3 stitches. So we're going to do 3 purl stitches, and then we're going to do a yarn over. And after that yarn over, because that yarn over is going to give us an increase in stitches. You see how I just yarned over? I just took my yarn over the needle, brought it back to the purl position. Now these next 2 I have to knit together, otherwise it's just going to get wider. Okay, so we increase with the yarn over to make a hole, and then we're going to purl 2 together immediately after. Okay, that way we keep our stitch counts the same, and then we're going to purl over to the last 4 stitches on the other side. And we're going to do the opposite. We're going to knit 2 together and then yarn over and then do the last stitches. And this is going to be a neat little thing. And I'll have to show you how to do a crocheted I-cord, because I know not everyone has an I-cord maker. Okay, we went 1 too far. We're down to our last 4 stitches here. Same as the other side. We're going to knit 2 together. And then our yarn over would be in the 3rd spot there. And then purl the last 2. Now the hole is going to show up when we do this row, and I'll be able to show it to you after we complete this row. But you can see here where the yarn over, because it's not connected to the stitch below it, it will create a gap. And that is what you can use for buttonholes, lace holes in knitting, or you use it to create like an eyelet lace in the knit. Okay, so when we get up onto the other end of the glove, I might put a little bit of ribbing on the top just to bring it together. Now we're going to knit all the way across this row. When we come to the yarn over, it's going to look kind of funky because it's not connected to anything. Just go right through the loop that's on the needle and do your knit stitch, and just keep right on going along. Right on over to the other side. Again, if anybody needs to see any of these stitches in more detail, I can slow down, tell you exactly what I'm doing. If you're new to knitting and no one has showed you how to hold or how they hold their work, because there's not any one right way to hold your work. It's whatever is comfortable for you. Come over here to the last 4, and we'll see that yarn over again. There's our yarn over right there. Go through and knit it as usual. And now you can see there's our hole for lace. Probably should have went so far in, but I wanted to have enough for it to be able to grab, especially if you're going around a brace. Now we're going to purl, and we're going to do a couple rows of knit and purl, and then we'll do that yarn over again. And birds are acting up in the driveway. My shepherd's wondering what the heck is wrong with them. She just walked over to the door to watch. Now she's sitting there watching them. She likes to chase the birds. I don't let her chase the turtle doves, though. I like the turtle doves. Welcome, Jen. Grammy, welcome. We're working on some fingerless gloves today. These are knitted flat, and I wanted to show you how you can make fingerless gloves just from measurements. And these can go over corrective splints if you wear splints for carpal tunnel, or, whatever reason you might have to wear a splint for your hand. This would be the way to make fingerless gloves so that you can cover up that brace if you so desire. You can get fancy with it. You can use all different types of yarn. You can add beads and whatever you want to it. Make it your own. You can do whatever colors you want. You can stripe them if you want. And this we're working from the bottom up. You can work this from the top down. If you want to fit it a little bit more, you can take several measurements up your arm. Trace your arm on a piece of paper. Make your measurements. See how many stitches you have to do to cover the inches for those areas. You can do your increases and decreases to make it fitted. And I think we might do 1 or 2 more rows before we put another eyelet in there. And these work up really quickly. I was going to do a whole lot of color changes and whatnot, but I thought, well, let's just use some of this variegated yarn. And the thing about this, you work this up as a flat panel with the eyelets on the sides for your lacing. You do your crochet lace, and that's it. It's done. No thumb gussets. You work your lacing around the thumb hole. You can loosen your lacing up just like shoestrings to take it off and on. These could be made in many different designs. Chris, we're working on that fingerless glove that will go over a corrective brace. If you wear corrective braces for your hands, like carpal tunnel braces, things like that, sometimes people like to cover them up. So I'm just showing how you can make it from measurements. And now we're getting ready to do, and these are going to be lace up, and we're putting holes in, so we have holes for lacing, almost like shoelaces we're going to put in here. We're going to do another row here with the eyelets in it. This time we're going to do it on the knit side. We're going to go in 3 stitches. We're going to do our yarn over, and then we're going to knit these 2 together. Because a yarn over is like an increase. You're putting a whole nother stitch in there by adding a yarn over. So therefore, if you don't want your work to continually keep getting wider, you have to do a knit 2 together after your yarn over. If it's used to create like eyelet lace, definitely you're either going to do it before or after. Somewhere relatively close to that yarn over. Get to the last 4 stitches on this side. 1 more. We're going to do the opposite. We're going to knit 2 together, and then we're going to yarn over and then knit the last 2. And once we do this next row, we'll have a second hole. Yeah, we did them in the same spot. I don't know why it doesn't look like it, but we did. Alright, now we're going to do a couple more rows in this stockinette stitch, which is purl on the wrong side, this being the wrong side, and knit on the right side. Not sure how many rows I did in between the first 2 holes, but I'm going to have to check and see, so that I make sure that we keep it uniform throughout. We might skip when we get up around the thumb. couple of rows in between, you know, add a couple extra in between the eyelet so that we don't have our thumb all cut off with these laces. Thank you for joining me today, everyone. I'm really grateful to have every last one of you here. And there's our yarn over. Nope, I did something different. That moved my stitch. That's because I did this on a purl row instead of a knit row. And now my stuff is backwards. And take these stitches out. And I'm going to move this yarn over one, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that. I just moved my yarn over one. The yarn over was over here. I just moved it over here. I might have to do that on the other side as well. Because I did it on a purl side, it changed the dynamics of the stitches. So we're going to keep it on the purl side so that we don't have to keep changing it up. And I will have to check the other side. And let me see if I can do it from here. Yeah, because this one ended up in the wrong spot. So I'll show you what I did again. I'll bring it up closer. And I'm doing this from the non-working side, so it's probably really going to confuse you now. But what I did to move the yarn over, where is my yarn over? I've already knitted through it. Okay. I need to drop that one off because this is my yarn over. And I'm going to drop this one down too because that's the yarn that I'm working with. And I'm going to take a look here. Yeah, we need to move it over to this side. So all I do is I put my yarn over back over here, pick this up, and I can drop that because that'll go to the other side. And then I need to bring these back over here. I'm going to take this row out. Going to go all the way back and take this row out because that's not working the way I want it to because I already knit it. I want my stuff to be lined up proper. So we're going to take back this row. Get the stuff in my hands right here. I'll get these yarn overs in the right spot, and I'll have to make sure that I do them on the purl row because that's going to change the spot of where they are if I don't. Because I'm coming from a different direction when I do it on the purl row and the stitches are not lining up. So you must be careful to do your eyelets on the same side of your work. I thought I could do it this way, and if I would have planned it out better I would have, but since there is no pattern and we're doing this way, this is some of the things that you run into. And I will always show you the mistakes that I make and how I correct them. Because even though I've been doing this for almost 40 years, 40 plus, started crocheting at 9, started knitting at 11, and I'm 52. So I make sure to get that yarn over here too. If not, I'll lose a stitch. Okay. Now, Gotta make sure that my yarn over's in the right spot, and it's not. So now I'm going to move it. I'm going to show you how I'm going to move this over. You can see that they're not in the same spot from here to here. It's one line over and I need it over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these stitches, these 2 stitches over here. Those are fine. Here's my yarn over. We're going to drop the yarn over off because it's not connected to anything else. We're going to pick up this stitch, and then the extra from the yarn over will flow back through. Will it? Hold on. No. That was our knit 2 together. That's why it wasn't doing right. Okay, put this one over here. And we have effectively dropped our yarn over off, which is here. I could see the loose yarn. And then put the rest of this back on here. And let's see where we are. Yep, that's where we need to be. Changing the side really messed it up for me. I didn't plan in that. So we're going to do all of those on the purl side. That way they come up the same way. And I don't think... I got to come back here because I don't think I knitted 2 together because I had too many after it. So we got to put those 2 back together. After the yarn over. So it's these 2. This one and this one. So there's our yarn over. There's our knit 2 together. And let me see if that's going to put it in the right spot. Yep. Okay. We just have to keep it all on the purl side. That way I keep them all lined up. You change things from one side to the other, and sometimes they don't line up. So we're doing our purl row now. We've got our second eyelet in there. There's our yarn over. Good morning, NSYNC. Yeah, I do stuff wrong all the time, Chris, and I find it out and I fix it. Just because you know, have years of experience underneath your belt doesn't mean you don't make mistakes anymore. And I'm one of those, I'll show you the mistakes, I'll show you how to fix them, I'll show you how to turn it around, you know, get it back on course. Because I do this all the time. But you're going to continue on with these. You can see here we've got our second lace hole here. It's kind of a little hard to see with the background color in this desk. I don't know what it is. If it's this light, I mean, I have an LED light, and it shouldn't. That's a better color there. There we go. Maybe it was just the light, the mode that I had the light in. And everything just looked orange. Thank you for the follow, Ella and Tanya. All right, we're going to go ahead and do another knit row. I want to check and see how many rows I have here between here and here. Looks like we have 3 rows. So we're going to do 3 rows in between each set, this being 1. Actually, we might do 4. Yeah, because the 4th row, this will be the 2nd row. We're knitting. If anyone needs to see the knit stitch, let me know. I'm going to be doing a lot of knits and a lot of purls today, and I will show you how to do both if you are in need of a little more detailed instruction. And this is what I do. Everyone who's here knew. I teach how to crochet and knit. If you have issues with patterns, I'm here to help with pattern help. My mom did it for me. She was tremendous, went above and beyond with the pattern help in the beginning. I couldn't understand the abbreviations. So my mother would write out a whole pattern for me, word for word, abbreviations and all. And she would put those abbreviations in the parentheses behind the word. And finally, my brain caught it, finally. But, you know, you're talking about 9, 10 years old, so. All right. This will be the second row after the yarn overs. And then we'll do one more knit row, currently purling. We'll do one more knit row. And I'm just curious about something. Sometimes I like to show off a little bit. When I do this next knit row, I'm going to see something. I have done interlac knitting. It's almost like the corner-to-corner version of crochet, but it's in knit. And you do like 4 or 5 stitches and you turn your work. And then, you know, you do those stitches and you turn your work. Almost like doing short rows. But I got tired of turning my work after 5 stitches, so I learned how to knit backwards. Which, once you get done a knit row, you don't turn your work, you just knit backwards across it, and that equals your purl row. But I can't do that this next row because I got to do my yarn overs. And I don't know if I can do that backwards. Next row we're going to do the yarn overs again. And then I'll see if I can't do a knit row. I'm just working this really quick so you guys can get the gist of what it is. I am going to show you how to do crocheted I-cord 2. And we're going to take this all the way up to 10 o'clock today. I have definitely been pushing myself a little harder over the weekend. I'm not used to going live over the weekends. And you can see here we have our eyelet holes for our lacing. Now, I did leave this a little bit bigger because the lacing coming straight off of here will cause this to pull, and not having enough material can be an issue. So when you do put this on, this can lay with your laces over so that you've got a little bit more coverage so you don't have those laces rubbing on your skin all day long if you so like. So there's adjustments that can be made to cover areas that the lace would go over that might irritate your skin. I have sensory issues with my clothing, and certain clothing I just can't wear. I will fidget in it, I will pull on it, I will tug at it, I will try to make it comfortable, and no, if I have to fidget, it's coming off. Something else is going on. So now we're going to do our yarn overs again. I'm going to go 2 in. I do believe it's 2 in. Actually, it's 3, I think. Yes, 3 in, yarn over. Or was it? No, 3 in, yarn over, and then knit 2 together. And I'm going to double check and make sure that's right because it's the opposite on the other way. And yes, that's going to line up. You can see that my holes are all lining up now. So we do 3, yarn over, and knit 2 together. On the other side, we go to the last 4 stitches. We're going to knit 2 together, yarn over, and then knit the last 2. And this does work up fairly quickly. As you can see, we've already got 2 inches already done, at least. 2, 3, 4. Okay. I'm going to knit 2 together. Or purl 2 together, I'm sorry. We're going to yarn over, and we're going to knit the last 2. Again, we'll double check, and yep, they're all lining up. And you just keep doing this, 3 rows in between, and this is going to give you the fingerless glove with laces up the side to cover. Like I said, you start off with a measurement. For those of you who just came in, or might have come in after I started, I took a measurement as to how far up my arm I wanted my glove to be. And I think this might be down a little bit too, but I don't think that's not the light issue for sure. I don't know, maybe it's this phone. But you take a measurement around where you want your glove to stop. And mine was down a little bit further, and it was at 8 inches. So then you look at your yarn label, using the specs on the back of your yarn label. This being worsted weight, 17 stitches will give you 4 inches using a size 8 knitting needle. So I just based it off of that information. I did the math to subtract that down to 1 inch, which is roughly 4 stitches. And 4 stitches per inch, 8 inches worth of stitches is 32 stitches. You can use that same formula to figure out absolutely anything that you want to make, as long as you have measurements. You can make hats, you can make sweaters, you can make socks, you can make anything, absolutely anything. In this row, we're just knitting back across. There's our yarn over. Now I'm going to see after this row if I can still knit backwards. It's been years since I've done the interlac knitting, and it's something that I want to pick back up again because I want to do some headbands like that. Ear warmers, headbands. Fall is coming. Heads need to be warm. Come to the end of the row here, and as I told you guys, I'm going to try and knit backwards. So we're just going to leave it to, there's our last stitch. Okay, in here. Slows me down a bit. Once I get to going, I can go right back over this without turning it around. And this is what I use for the interlac knitting. And the way I learned how to do this is I pay attention to patterns. I am pattern crazy. When I see patterns out in nature, or I'm paying attention to my pattern, I know what color is going to fall over top of another color when I'm working a pattern. Even the color work pattern on the sweater that I'm currently working on, it's 32 rows of repeat. But you can still tell if you watch and you really stick to patterns. When you go to knit, okay, your needles are basically like this, one in front of the other. And I just pay attention to where the needles sit when I'm knitting and where they are when I'm purling. And I can knit backwards. Now, I can turn this around and go right from where I'm at and purl. I don't like people to come in here and advertise. If you want to advertise, please let me know. And it's better if you just interact with the people who are here. You know, say hi, whatever. But I really don't want people coming in and advertising. I don't do it on other people's pages. I don't go on other people's lives and come look at this. No. Naughty Lexi, how are you? One more row, and then I think we're going to do another eyelet. And it's funny because the first interlac project that I did, it was done in this exact same color. And I think interlac looks really good in variegated colors, because when you get into a long string of brown, you're going to have a square of brown. And then you're going to have a square of the next color, and then a square of the next color. And then sometimes you get squares that have different colors in them. I think it just looks so pretty done up like that. And certain variegated yarns can be used for color pooling, where it looks like, well, that stitch didn't get done from the last row. It just got laid over. All right. And you can see our eyelets there. Hold it over. You can see the 3 little eyelets there. Now, as far as crocheted I-cord, I'm going to show you the I-cord here really quickly. I tend to use a smaller string for the cord. I will use, like, if I want the string to be really small, I'll use a lace weight yarn. But I'm just going to show you with this here, and I'm going to, I don't know, it shouldn't be too confusing with this yarn here. You should be able to see it. But I pull out a length, a good length, or you can use 2 skeins of yarn. And I will take and I will do my slip knot here. Well, not a slip knot. I'm going to have 2 things of yarn here just so it'll work out. Normally I do it with 2, because I do my laces 2 different colors. We put both of these onto your hook. Okay. One you will be crocheting with, and one you will be laying over. To make crocheted I-cord, this is the one that I hold, that I work with. This one I lay over. You lay it over your hook, and then you take the other yarn and just crochet. This bare one down here, you just lay over your hook, and then your other one you crochet through. And you keep doing that. Over your hook, crochet. Just keep laying it over the hook, and then looks like you're crocheting through 2, almost like you're finishing up a single crochet. Just lay the yarn over, and then crochet through. Oh, thank you, Yarn King. Yarn Crazy King. I'm going to have to show you how to make what Nene wanted you to make in your live earlier. But then you have I-cord. You can use this in hoodies. You can use this all different things. You can use this as a keychain and attach something down here and put your key thing up here. All different kinds of things. Welcome, Wheelchair Girl. How are you this morning? But again, you have One yarn that you crochet with and one that you wrap over your crochet hook. And just wrap it over, pinch it all together. Oops. And don't crochet it like that because that won't work. Yeah, lay it over your hook, crochet. And this makes crochet I-cord. Your project is confusing you. Thank you for the follows, everyone. Colette and Lori 67 and Country Rose. Mama Stuff. I know that's not your name, but we don't want to get violated by TikTok. I love the name, though. I'm doing pretty good, Naughty Lexi. Pretty good today. You crocheted the body of a teddy bear and can't what? I'm not sure what you're trying to say, wheelchair girl. You crocheted the body of a teddy bear and you can't do what now? I'm going to continue on with this glove. And I think something that I might do is more so teaching lives than just holding class every Tuesday. It came out great. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. It came out great, not it can't. Oh, autocorrect got a hold of you this morning. It got a hold of me yesterday. Something terrible. But yeah, these are a really neat idea. Once you get finished the glove, if you want a little edging on the top and the bottoms, you can do a little afterthought edging on there, which is, you know, after you finish, add an edging. If you wanted to work these in the round without the lacing, you could. When I work them in the round fingerless gloves, I like to do them in a ribbing because it gives a more comfy fit than just stockinette stitch. But because you are, and we could do rib with this and still do the eyelets, and it would give it a nice stretchy fit too. So, and ribbing in knitting is just knitting and purling in the same row. You do so many knits and so many purls. And I think the maker died on me. Either that or YouTube is asking me if I'm still listening. Don't we all love that? And I think that should have been our row for our... Yeah, it should have. And we're going to do it on this side. 1, 2, and there's our yarn over. And there's our knit 2 together. And that should put that, yep, in the same spot. So we're on the knit side now. We're doing it the right way. I don't have to go back and fix it. Sometimes, I mean, is it really, really smaller? You might not have used the same crochet hook, the same size crochet hook. A size up or a size down can really make a difference in the size of your amigurumi if you didn't use the same crochet hook. Now, there are some colors of Red Heart that are fluffier and thicker than others, and you won't know it until you do a project. I'm trying to make sure that I get this done right. Knit 2 together. Knit 2 together. Here we go. Knit 2 together. yarn over. Nope, that wasn't it on this side. We need to back it up one. That's why it's off on this side, because this side's got 3 rows in it. The other one's only got 2. So we need to go to 5 on one side. Knit 2 together, yarn over. Make sure our eyelets are in the same spot on all the way down, at least on one side. There we go. Yeah, we've got all of our eyelets in a row here, and here's our next one right here. Right here on this side. Okay. But yeah, sometimes I've noticed with worsted weight, I noticed that the black is thicker than any of the other colors, and sometimes the colors themselves change thickness. So yeah, you have to be careful of that. And if you cake up your yarn beforehand like this on a yarn winder, make sure that you're not caking it up too tight, because when you stretch the yarn and it stays stretched for a long amount of time, it will make it thinner. It's like if you take this and stretch it, it will over time get thinner. So I don't cake up my yarn until right before I use it. And I literally mean right before I use it. I will pull all the yarn out I need for the project that I'm using. The first 2 skeins of yarn that I use, if I am using 2 different colors like the current project, I cake those 2 yarns. When I need another skein, that's when I cake it up on the yarn winder. I won't let it sit caked up. And even when I do, they're not, this one's a little tighter. They're not real tight. You can really squish at them. So I know that I'm not stressing or stretching my yarn while it's sitting waiting to be used. But yeah, we've had that conversation, the group of girls that I hang out with on Discord, about the yarn weights not being consistent within the same brand or even the same color. So I don't know if maybe what they're dyeing it with is causing the yarn to expand, or yeah, it might be too thick. And we're just working away on this glove. Now I'll put it up here to my hand. I am going to make another measurement across my hand. Now mind you, these can be laced up around a corrective brace. So if you do wear corrective braces and you want something to cover them up, this is a great idea. They lace up so that you can loosen the laces and slide it right off without having to take the brace off at all. A nice little added accessory if you don't wear braces. Sometimes I have to wear my carpal tunnel braces during the day, especially if I do a little too much and don't take breaks and don't give my hands a rest. I don't know what I did there, but I did something. I put 2 stitches together. Something happened. See that line right there? That hole. I missed a stitch and I must have put 2 stitches together. So there shouldn't be a hole there. But you see, working quick, you grab pieces of this and pieces of that and pull it together. That's probably what I did. Nope, there's actually a hole in there. It's just from loose stitches, because there it is. Yeah. Loose stitches. Probably when I did that reverse knitting, as I wasn't so good on my tension. But you can see here that it's coming along. And like I said, when you get to the thumb portion, because this come up to here like this, and this of course was from the bottom, I'm just turning it around so you can see, these sides will meet, but I'm going to lace them up so they'll be real nice and gentle. And then of course when I come up to the thumb part, I'm going to leave an extra big gap so the laces just skip over the thumb opening. I'll probably do 6 rows when we come up instead of 3, and do 2 eye holes to the top. So I'm going to keep going because I still have an hour left. If there's anything that anybody would like to see today, crochet-wise, or anything that you're having troubles with that you might not be having any luck figuring out, now would be a good time to pose any questions, because this here is pretty much just repetitive. Knit and purl, knit and purl. Put your yarn overs in. Hello, Gregory Stitch. How are you? How are you on this lovely Monday morning? Whew. We're a day behind. Sean, welcome. I love to see all kinds of crafters in here. All kinds of crafters, young and old, boys and girls, men and women. I like to see people craft and be creative. It makes my day. Makes my day. All right, are we ready for another? I think we are. Yep. So we're going to do 2 and a yarn over. Our yarn over here, and then we're going to knit 2 stitches together. The yarn over makes an increase. It adds an extra stitch. It also creates eyelet lace in your work when you're knitting. Get over here to the other side. We got to stop with 5 stitches because we've got the eyelets at the 3 row or the 3 stitch mark instead of 2. What do you mean those are at work? They can't talk to me? Or those that are at work being crafty? One more stitch. Here's my knit 2 together. No. I gotta check this out now. Because, yes, I should have done it there. No. Knit these 2, knit this one, knit these 2. Yarn over because that makes my 3. There we go. And that should be, nope, it's in the wrong spot. Take that yarn over back out. And these knit 2 together. Alright, we got a back up one. Knit 2 together. Do my yarn over. See if that falls in the same spot. There we go. Yeah, we had to do that one at 5. 5 stitches. Bessie, thank you for the follow. Are you at work in sync? Are you really working today? I talked to your boss yesterday. And anybody who didn't catch this from the beginning, I do upload all my Tuesday classes to YouTube. And I know I've said I'm going to start doing some tutorials, but I need to start doing some knitting cast-on tutorials, things like that. I do have a couple of the tutorials already up, But I think I need to add that crocheted I-cord and with a better camera and better light for sure. I thought that light was good. Maybe it's just this phone that I'm using. I'm not using my newer one. I'm using the older one. I didn't miss any comments from anybody, did I, while I was working? Yeah. No, I didn't miss any, I don't think. I like crocheting amigurumi. I like doing stuffies. I call them stuffies. Okay, and we're just knitting back across again. Keeping an eye on time here. I'll try and get a good bit of this done. Hopefully all of it. It's supposed to run out just shortly after 10, which is shortly after class should end. So I want to be on point today. I don't drive anymore, so I rely on other people for rides. So when they come through, I'm ready. I don't want nobody to have to wait for me. Okay. Now I'm going to see where this is falling here as to where I normally wear it. So right about now, I'm going to do, we got one right here. I'm going to go ahead and do those 6 rows and skip a hole, which is where the thumb would come out. Okay. I know. I talked to your boss yesterday. That's why I chuckled afterwards. Oh, yes, that's why I chuckled. She told me you were your own boss yesterday, taking days off to hang with me. I do this in the morning because my husband works day shift, and when he comes home, that's when we spend our time together. So I try to do everything I want to do during the 8-hour shift that he's gone, with TikTok and hanging with you guys and, you know, connecting with family, all that kind of stuff. I need to call my daughter today when I get off, when I get home. I get back, I'll send her a message when I get done class. Oh, you're driving now? You better quit texting me back if you're driving. I get on my husband about that all the time. He be driving down the road, he got to collect coins off a game. Give me that damn phone. Not while you're driving. It drives me crazy with that stuff. Back when I used to drive, I haven't drove for over 1.5 years now, but back when I used to drive, I used to pay attention to the people who were passing me on the opposite side of the road, and 50% of them were looking down as they passed me. It is not a good thing. Whatever's coming through that phone is not that important. Not that important. And I guess people don't realize that when they look down at their phone while they're driving, they're risking other people's lives too. I told my kids when they started driving, when you leave out of this driveway, your heat and air better be set. Your radio better be set. Everything that you need to reach and touch better be done before you put that car in drive. My daughter and her husband were in a car accident. They got T-boned. He was reaching for the heat, to adjust the heat. and they were going through an intersection, and somebody else wasn't paying attention to the light, and had he not been looking down at the heater, he might have been looking up. But then again, red light, you're not expecting other people to come flying through when they have a red light, so who knows. But still, there's just too much distraction in the world when you're out there. Okay, you better be. You better be. I'll find out your driving schedule. I won't let you talk. I don't want anybody to be distracted when they're doing something that important. Your life is way more important than the coins on a game or a text message. It's still going to be there when you stop. All right, I'm going to lay this up here again and check to see where this is going to fall. And this is what I do when I make things freestyle. I call it freestyle knitting. When I just make things out of my head or from measurements. I like, especially if I'm making it for somebody else, I'll take a lot of measurements. So that way, they're not always right here. I can't try it on them. Lay it, to see where it's going to fall. I always ask, do you like longer sleeves? Do you like shorter sleeves? I can customize it a little bit more for their liking. It's like I've taken cardigan sweaters that stop at the waist and make them longer. Yeah, I know. It's just unreal that, think about it. Up here where I live, there are so many... You all right, buddy? Okay. My dog suffers with that reverse sneezing. It sounds like he's gasping for air. It scares me sometimes. But I'll lay this up here and see where these are falling. So I want one below the thumb, and I want one, like here, which this one will be right about here, so that I can still move my thumb around, and then I want one above. So I think I'm going to do 2 more rows, maybe 3 because I'm on the purl side. 3 more rows, and then I'm going to do some more eyelets, and then it won't be too long before I'm done with this and can show you how to, of course, lacing it up. Everybody knows how to lace, I hope. You can get fancy with your laces if you want to. If you didn't want to do laces and you just wanted to do a flat panel, you could do a flat panel off of measurements. You can do Fair Isle on it. You can do color work. You can do pictures. You can crochet these as well and do like a Grafghan picture on them. And then use toggles to close them up if you want. Any closure that you want. You can use snap closures. You can use straps and buttons. Whatever you want. That's the good thing about, freestyle knitting. And even with the pattern, I change the pattern up. I don't ever follow the pattern. I mean, I do for the stitch counts and I do for the shaping, but as far as adding texture or adding color work or stripes or whatever. You don't like buttons? Well, they have toggles. You don't have to put the buttonholes in there. If you don't want to have buttons, you can leave it just open. It doesn't need to have any closures. All kinds of things that you could do to change up a pattern. You thought it was a pig. This is called Reef. It is Red Heart worsted weight yarn, and the colorway is called Reef. I used this in a sweater that I made, and it is on in here on TikTok. I had to take it darn near all the way back apart once I got it finished. It was the sweater from hell, but I love it. It's mine, and that's why it was the sweater from hell. Whenever I claim a project for myself before I start, I make so many mistakes. It's like I'm not supposed to knit for myself or crochet for myself. I had made this exact same sweater that I'm talking about for my sister right before I made mine. I worked through that whole sweater without incident, and then I liked it so much I was going to keep it for myself, and I thought, nope, I'll make another one. So I immediately started another one. And it was mistakes for days. And the big final mistake, and I did snap pictures of all the mistakes that I made. I don't like to sew. So I made the back, and then I made adjustments to work off the back for the two front pieces. So I didn't have to sew those together. And then the sleeves. I picked up the stitches off the body of the sweater where the sleeves were supposed to be sewed on, and I knit them right straight on the body of the sweater. So that way when I got done, I only had to seam down the arm and down each side. Down each arm and down each side. Then I put the collar band on, and I put it on, and it doesn't feel right. So I'm looking at it, and it doesn't even want to come anywhere near to closing up. And of course, I didn't put any buttons on it. It's just meant to be open. Come to find out, I was doing the extra large sweater, and I did the stitch count for the medium fronts. Yeah, don't claim it till you finished. I did the medium stitch count for the fronts, and I had to take all of that back out. All the arms, because I had worked them on the body. Both front pieces. The only thing I had was the back when I pulled it all out. Yes, it was not fun. So again, I'm going to check this here. And this is how I do this on everything. I check, I put it on. When I was working on that smoker's jacket, which I'm waiting for yarn to come in so I can finish up the lapels. Yes, I'm going to go ahead here. Our lace is going to go here, and then it'll pick back up again here. So it leaves all of that open for the thumb. So I'm going to go ahead with my my eyelets here again in this row. Let me check this here. Yes, this is 2, yarn over, knit 2 together. So I'm going to knit 2 to come off the edge. And then I'm going to do my yarn over for the eyelet. And then knit 2 together to decrease the stitch that I just added with the yarn over. And I probably am going to use all of that cake up. It's looking pretty thin there. Okay, this one we're going to go to 5 stitches left. Got a few more to go till we get to that point. One more. Now we're going to knit 2 together and prep for doing that yarn over, which is an increased stitch. There's our yarn over. And knit the last 3. I don't know if anybody else... No, nobody else has any questions about anything knit or crochet? Or need any pattern help? Now we're going to go back to doing the 3 rows and then the eyelets. Probably going to do maybe 2 more eyelets, and then we are going to cast off. I wanted to be able to show you the cast off as well. This is what I want to be able to do to complete at least half a project. This is half a project because it's only 1 glove, but it's pretty easy to replicate. What I will do when I put this up to YouTube, I will put the formula in the description on how to figure out, you know, your inches, how many stitches you need per inch, and it's all based off your yarn label. all your yarn labels. One thing that I found out the other day that I was kind of upset about, Knit Picks, the Brava Sport yarn. It'll tell you how many stitches per inch, but it won't tell you how many rows. So that one I kind of have to figure out. But because I've worked with it enough, and it is a 2-weight yarn, it is going to be different than the Red Heart. Easy knit stocking hat pattern. Are you looking for one, Wiley? Most of the hats I do are adult size hats. You can do things for the children's hats, but just like I just did with this yarn label, measure around the head. Okay, the forehead area above the ears. Okay, when you measure around the head, go across the forehead and above the ears and around the back. Whatever yarn you're using, you're going to look at the yarn label and you're going to figure out how many stitches per inch. A worsted weight yarn, on the back of the label, it says 17 stitches equals 17 stitches will give you a 4-inch square. I think it's 17 inches and 23 rows, if I'm not mistaken. Some of the labels I got memorized because I just use them a lot. And I do a lot of math because, like I said, a lot of the stuff I do is not from a pattern. It's free-handed, and it's right off the yarn label. Yes, 23 rows and 17 stitches will give you a 4x4-inch square in worsted weight. Now, what you're going to do, 17 stitches gives you 4 inches. So you want to figure out how many stitches will give you 1 inch. So if there's 17 stitches and 4 inches, you take that 4 and divide the 17. Roughly gives you 4 point something. So 4 stitches in worsted weight on a size 8 needle should give you 1 inch. And if we look at this that I'm working on right now, okay, I'm going to show you right here. And I probably need to bring it up a little closer so that you can see it. And this should be fun. I don't have anything that I can set up high handy. Maybe this stack of stuff here will work. Now I can bring it up here to where you can see the individual stitches, the little V's here. Okay? If I take my tape measure, and I'm going to show you how true that is. I said 4 stitches equals 1 inch, right? Well, if we start, let's see where we can find a brown stitch. You see this brown stitch right here, all single by itself. There's a blue one right next to it. We're going to start right there, and we're going to go over 1, 2, 3, 4. You see that right there? 4 stitches equals 1 inch. So if you have a 22-inch head and you're working with worsted weight yarn, you're going to take 22 inches times 4. That'll tell you how many stitches to cast on. That's 88 stitches. And then whatever pattern you want to do in that hat. Now you got to be careful because cables and stuff's going to draw your work up a little bit. You might have to add a couple extra stitches. Normally, winter hats I do in a rib. I do a knit 2 or a purl 2 knit 3 rib. It gives a little wider knit stripe and a little smaller purl stripe, and it makes it really stretchy. So that same hat will fit anyone from 19 to 22 inches because it will stretch and it will come back in. And that's an easy hat to do. You'll work 7 inches for an adult hat. I think it's 5 inches for a kid's hat in straight whatever stitch you want to do. Then once you get to that 5 or 7 inches, you're going to start decreasing. And then to decrease, you have to know your stitch count so you can evenly decrease around. Normally, they start at 10 stitches and knit 2 together, and then it goes 9 stitches and knit 2 together, and then it's 8 stitches and knit 2 together. But it depends on what stitch count you start off with. And with a knitted hat, when you do a row of decreases, you always do a row of knit after, because if not, your hat is not going to gradually come in. You're going to have a point. So if you want a pointy hat, decrease every row and you'll have a pointy hat. If you want a nice rounded slow decrease like a normal hat, you'll do a knit row in between every decrease row. And that's if you're working in the round. If you're working it flat and seaming it up, there's a little bit of different instructions. I couldn't think of the word on how to close your hat up, because you're going to purl the row in between your decrease rows. Because you do your decreases on your knit side, and then your purl would be the even row in between without any decreases. So you got a nice rounded. I don't know if that helps you or not, but it's easier for me to just freestyle knit than it is to go find an easy knit pattern. And that way you can knit for anybody. You don't have to go look for a kid size hat or you know, an adult size hat or a preemie hat. You can knit for anybody. All you need is the measurements. Is that helpful? Wiley, I don't know if you're still in here or if that was helpful or not. I'm hoping that maybe it was. Okay, and do this purl row, and then we're going to do another row with our eyelet. And then we're going to do a couple more rows and one more eyelet row. And then we'll be casting off. Last couple of days have been fair weather for me here in Pennsylvania. I've really been enjoying it. Oh, might go and sit outside today. When I come back, that'd be nice. Take my knitting out there as long as it's not too warm. I only have like 2 more inches left in the color work on that sweater that I'm working on. Alright, yep. Here comes our next, and this is 2 yarn over. I'm going to knit 2, yarn over, and knit the next 2 together. Somehow we ended up a little funky on the other end of the row. I got 3 stitches after the yarn over, but that's okay. I'm sitting here thinking, I saw a TikTok this morning where a lady made a crocheted grafghan and it looked like Sally's dress from Nightmare Before Christmas. These would be done up neat like that with back stitching for the extra decorations. I want to do a sweater like that. We didn't do our yarn over or our knit 2 togethers. We just knitted right on through. Alright, there's my knit 2 together, my yarn over for my eyelet, and the 3 stitches. And yes, we are lining up. I like to check that before I get too far. Sometimes I get so far ahead that it's like 10 rows back and there's a big mess. You get too comfortable and you forget to check on your work. And is that the... Yes, this is the second eyelet here. So I'm going to check again when I get done this row. And I'll have time to finish everything up. This is Red Heart, and the colorway is called Reef, R-E-E-F. Glad that I could help you with that for sure. I know what it's like trying to find yarn when you don't have a label. I have a T-Rex stuffy sitting over here that I thought I had another skein of yarn for, and I don't. And I have no idea what color it is. I'm going to have to take a dino leg to the yarn store with me so I can match it up. It's almost the same color as the frosty green, but it's not. And I have tried to match it up with several, as I say, different yarn colors. And that's going to work out perfect right there like that. You can see here's one eyelet and here's the other, and our laces will come through this way. And I have one more eye hole up here. And I think I'm going to do one more row of knit and cast it off on the purl side, because I don't want it to get too far above my eyelet, because then I don't have anything to hold the corners down when you've got it done. So I'm going to work through this knit here, and then I'll show you the cast off. And of course the cast off is going to be on the purl side. My recommendations to anyone casting off, that you cast off in pattern. If you're doing a rib, cast it off in rib. It looks so much better. I've noticed that if you cast off in straight knit and you leave that as your raw edge, it likes to flay out, and it doesn't look very well. So I always cast off in pattern. So if I'm doing a rib, it's cast off in that rib pattern. It makes the edge stand up and not flay out on the edges like you have too many stitches on that row. Alright, now get this all turned around here. I don't know if any of you have ever worked with that pot holder weaving loom. I know I'm a little bit older than a lot of the people who are on here, but it works kind of the same way. You are going to, whatever stitch you're doing, purl or knit. I'm purling, so I'm going to purl the first stitch. The second stitch I'm going to purl as well. Then I'm going to take my needle here and I'm going to pick up the very first stitch, and I'm going to pass it over the second stitch. Why does it seem like this is just like blinding out what I'm doing? Is it light? I guess. Alright, we're going to purl the next stitch, and now we have 2 stitches again. We're going to take that second stitch. Notice I lay my thumb on there. I've got control of those stitches. They're not going anywhere. And I'm going to go in through that one stitch in the back, pick it up, and I will hold tension on this here, which helps hold the stitch that I don't want from going off the end. And then of course I have to resize the loop because it tightened up here. But that's how you cast off. If you're knitting, you're going to cast off doing a knit stitch, passing the second loop over the first one. And come up here a little bit. It's a little harder to get down in there when you're on the wide part of the needle. And when you're trying to show people things. Normally I can just pluck it right on up there. Okay. Go ahead and purl the next stitch and then pass the previous stitch over. You do not want to make this tight. If you make this tight, it will cinch it up. It will gather it. So make sure that you're sizing the loop on the needle. Don't do it way up here on the beveled portion, because it will pull your work together. And if you have to sew pieces together, they won't fit, because one will be smaller than the other because you pulled the cast on too tight. So I tend to do it pretty loose. And when you cast it off in pattern, these stitches will stay to the top. If it's not in pattern, they will roll and pucker and do all kinds of craziness. Get this cast off, and then I will continue on with the crocheted I-cord, and we will lace it up. Now this normally would I probably have two gloves done in an hour, or in 2 hours, I mean, not an hour, 2 hours, 1 hour a glove, maybe an hour and a half. But it's a quick little project, and that's one of the things I like, quick little projects, especially when I'm working on huge monsters projects. If I have time, I'll show you the sweater that I'm currently working on once we get finished with this. And I've, like I said, I have like 2.5 inches left of color work to do. And then I'm off to the textured yoke of this sweater. And this one I am working from a pattern, and it is a basic knit. It has you doing the front and back in 2 separate pieces. I'm not doing that. I worked the front and the back in the round because I don't like purling color work. Thank you for all the hearts. I'm not sure what your name is, but I appreciate the love. I do. Oh, CM Wool, there you are. I really enjoyed watching you last night. CM Wool dyes and spins her own wool. She was playing up some wool yesterday evening on live. Stuff like that to me is just mesmerizing. Now what I do is I extend this loop a little bit bigger when I get down to the end of my project, or to the end of it. I put it on a crochet hook. I will chain 2, and then I cut off a length at least 3 to 4 inches because I like to weave it back in really, really good. And then I just pull this straight out just like that. Put my fingers above the knot and pull it, and it tightens that knot down really, really tight and really, really close. And you can see how that edge did kind of roll over a little bit, but that cast off is not stretchy at all. That's why I say you have to be careful not to do it too tight because it will draw your work up. Now, as far as the crocheted I-cord, we need to come back to that. Put that back over there. Get our crochet hook back in here. And again, I tied on two different cakes of yarn here to do the I-cord. Let me move all this other stuff out of the way. Okay, that. Put that in there. There we go. I have 2 separate, oh, that's coming off the back. 2 separate yarns that I'm working out of for this I-cord. I tied both on with a slip knot together, and all you do once you've got your loop on here, you lay one yarn over your crochet hook and you crochet through with the other one. So lay this over your hook and crochet a chain. And this makes I-cord. And this is the lace that you can use to lace up your glove. Now this is going to be a little big. Normally I work with lace weight for I-cord, And I do have an I-cord maker. It's a little machine that you just put the yarn in there. You load it in there a certain way, and you just crank a little handle, and it cranks it right out. It's almost like a little mini knitting machine. It's only got 4 pins on it, 4 needles, and it makes I-cord. For this, I would probably unply. And I've unplied yarn before, because worsted weight is 4 ply. There's 4 strings plied together. I will unply it, and I will do this with 2 strands, which makes your lace smaller instead of 4 strands. Had my elbow on it. I was wondering why it was getting tight, and it wasn't coming up. Just take and wrap your crochet hook, or lay it over top the 1 string, and then do a chain. And you have I-cord. And the way I check for the length that I want is I run it through my project. Now I know I don't have enough of it, but all you do, and these ends I clip off afterwards. I just make sure that I take and put them, let me show you what I do. Where's my little cup with my needles? I have a sharp darning needle that's pointy. And what I do with these is I put these on here. Hopefully I left enough when I started. And what I do is I take it, I load it onto my needle, and I put it right back down into the center of this as best I can, and run that back down through about 3 or 4 stitches. Pull it up through here, and I'll cut this off, and then you don't have any string hanging out the other end. Do the same thing with this other one. Most of the time before I cut them off, I'll use them to help me weave it through the project. Just don't want it falling out while I'm trying to thread it in here, because I didn't make them quite as long. But it just goes. I'm trying not to stick my fingers, because this needle is a little on the sharp side. I like it just because of this, because sometimes I have to go through the fabric. And it gets stuck in there sometimes too. But no more strings. Make sure to pull them down in there real nice and tight. And then just snip them off. And no string on the end of your I-cord. Then you're just going to lace up your glove. However you want to lace it. You can go from the inside out, outside in. And I know that this isn't long enough to do the whole thing, but then let's see if I can't get enough of this in here so that you can get an idea. Still not enough. But once you've got your lace all done, you just lace it right up the side. Now mind you, I don't normally use this big thick worsted weight for the lace up. I like to use a lighter lace. So I'll use like a sock yarn and do the I-cord. Yes, I did. I made gloves. I am going to upload this to YouTube, and I'm probably coming back on later today depending on what time I get back from being out. Yeah, I just did this from, and I have the opening here. There's one eyelet here, and there's another eyelet up here, so it laces around the thumb. And you can make this to fit over corrective braces, braces for carpal tunnel. Sometimes I do have to wear mine during the day. Things get crazy, and I knit too much or crochet too much, and sometimes an hour is too much, sometimes 15 minutes is too much. And yeah, I have to wear my braces, and I don't like for people to know that I have an impediment. I don't call it a handicap or a disability, because neither does it handicap or disable me. I'm still able to do things, just not as long or as much or as often. So that's the only change. But I will show you this absolutely lovely sweater that I'm working on. And I'm going to set my desk back up, because this will be what I'm working on when I come back in. I'm trying to get this finished up for my sister for her birthday. I have until October the 27th. I think I might be successful, maybe. This is the sweater that I'm currently working on. It's called a Big Comfy Sweater. It is done in two pieces. The front piece and the back piece are separate. I don't know. Here it is. There was, and this is the back side of the sweater. And it's worked in two pieces. The only shaping you have is a little bit of shaping here in the neck. Everything is just straight knit. I took that, what I call boring straight knit, and I jazzed it up a whole lot with some color work. And I get these strings out of here so I don't knock anything off and into the floor or lose stitches. I have put color work into that sweater. I did the front band, the ribbing, and the back band separate, and then I put them together on circular needles to work this sweater in the round, even though it says to work it in two pieces flat. I just made sure that my stitch counts matched the pattern that I wanted to put in here. If not, I add 1 or 2 stitches evenly around to make sure that I can put this into here. And this color work will be from the ribbing here all the way up to where this textured ribbing starts. And then when I get up here, I have to break off from working in the round to increase for the sleeves on both sides. And then I will be working the front flat off of one skein of the yarn and simultaneously working the back flat on another skein of yarn. So I'll do 1 row on the front, drop that skein, pick up the back skein, and do 1 on the back. And then when I get done, I only have to seam under the arm and over the shoulder seam. Oh, thank you. Yes, I do commissions. I just recently finished up a commission of a crocheted sweater. It was called the Fan Lace Pullover, and I did have that out here earlier. I don't know if I still have it out. I probably have put it away. Yeah, because it's not out here. It was out on the desk this morning. It is the last post that I made that's not pinned in my bio. Back on my profile page. It is a coral color, and it was called the Fan Lace Pullover, and I did do some of that on here too. On TikTok. Just sat here working while I was talking to everybody. But yeah, this is a 48 stitch repeat, and it's repeated over 32 rows. So 32 rows and 32 rows and 32 rows. 48 stitches to do the repeat. And I marked off every 48 stitches with stitch markers. The green stitch marker here is matched up with this side seam. The other stitch marker on the other side that matches up with the other side seam is red. So that lets me know where I need to open back up to work flat. So once I get all of this color work done to 21 inches, this is where I will increase the stitches for the sleeves for the front and the back on both sides, and then I'll start working it flat. Yeah, she'll be the fanciest little country girl you've ever seen. We live out in Amish country, and yeah, we're out in the middle of cornfields and whatnot, but she'll have the fanciest little sweater. Yeah. I'm enjoying making it. I really am. I want to join some competitions. I want to see if they have like a craft fair, either a knitting or crochet craft fair where they award ribbons and all that kind of stuff. I'd like to get into that. I really would. So I've done lots of stuff like this. Lots of stuff like this. I have a stroller-sized baby blanket like this. I used a skein of white for the designs, all of these the white pieces here. And then on the baby blanket, I used Lion Brand mandala yarn that changes the color change yarn, that fades into different colors. It was the one that went from the light gray to a light blue to a darker blue and up to a darker gray, and then the color came back again. And I did that in this background color, and it just faded right up through. It was so pretty. It was so pretty. No, it's not hard. It's not hard. I can show you. I wrote out the pattern for this design, not this sweater, but for this design. And what it actually is, and you can plot this on Stitch Fiddle, and Stitch Fiddle will write it out for you if you pay for the premium, which I do, which is $30 for the year. But I set it up to where each color is a pixel on a graph. And this was actually graphed out on Pinterest. I can't remember the name of it, but I found this pattern, this design, on Pinterest. And all I did was how many colors of this and this and this across that line of graph. And I wrote it down. But I wrote it down as background color and design color. This being the background color, this fairy tale or this maroon wineish color, and then design color being the white. So I have one background color, one design color, 3 background colors, 3 design colors. And this is the whole 32 rows of pattern right here. And each line is 48 stitches. I just have to keep repeating that 48 stitches until I go all the way around the row. This actually isn't my pattern. Neither one. This was gotten offline. Somebody else plotted this out, so I can't even claim it as mine. But it is a gorgeous pattern. And that's what I've been working on since I got the commission done. I also have another sweater over here that I'm working on that I can show you. I'm going to be finishing up when I get this one done. A friend of mine, she's new to knit, September of last year. And she wanted to do a sweater for her husband. And why is that still stuck there? That's not part of this, that's why. Alright, let me pull these pieces out here and I will show you this sweater. And this will help you understand that too, that graph. And pull out the pieces. Ooh, not my needle. Just the pieces. I had the yarn all over top of everything. I'm getting ready to lose that needle out of there too. This is the sweater that she chose to do as her very first colorwork knit. It's called I'm the Dude Jacket. It's a Burnett, and it is a free pattern. It's worked with roving. Now, this is an adult size sweater for a man. I have taken the large size notations in this pattern and used worsted weight, which is smaller than roving, and made the large size, and it's made it big enough for a 10-year-old boy's sweater. Now, this is what I talk about when I say I alter patterns. This here is the front unblocked. It still wants to roll up, and I'm not quite happy with this. I might do something different with, I might have to redo this piece because I was still catching floats over long. This one here, I've been catching floats every other float, which makes a big difference. So this is one of the fronts. This is the other front piece all rolled up. And this is the back piece. I still have the sleeves to do. And then all I have to do is the front collar band and stuff in there. And this is some of the stuff that I want to do along with you guys. CM Wool, I know you were talking last night about knitting. But this is some of the stuff that I want to do with you guys. Some of the stuff I want to show you guys how to do. And I just realized there's little fish right there. I didn't realize there was fish in the bird. But yeah, so, and this is done, like I said, it is done off of the large size on this pattern. Now, what I mean by graph and colors, okay? This graph doesn't show any colors. In the actual pattern, it was tans and browns and cream colors, okay? I printed it out in black and white, and this is what you get. This is the graph, and here, each square is a stitch. So when you're working across, and the reason why I've taken so much time to do this is because I have to purl color work. I hate purling color work because it's worked flat. But each pixel on this graph is a stitch of a certain color. And what I did was I counted across how many colors for each row. Okay, of course we're going back and forth, back and forth. Up here we're going to do, what is that, 4 one color, 1 of the white, 1 of the darker color, 1 of the white, and then we've got like I think 9 or 10 of the same color, and then 1, 1, 1. That's how you do the colors. And because, as you can see, you're only ever working with 2 colors at a time, it's easier to handle. I cannot do 3, 4, and 5 colors. Yes, I can make this as a woman's pattern because what I do is I go in here under measurements, and I looked at the finished bust or chest measurements. And I would go through here. And I would look. And this is where I would do this. Okay? But yeah. It's very easily done. I've taken an adult large sweater and turned it into a size for a boy's 10-12. But yeah, I have some patterns already done. I don't have any sweater patterns because I haven't done any of my own sweater patterns. But I do want to. I do want to. So, and yeah, my mother says I'll alter the heck out of a pattern. She has to follow a pattern. Now, my mother can look at something, maybe not necessarily knit. I don't know if she can do that with knit, but she can look at anything crocheted, and she can look at it, a finished one, look at it and remake it. I can't do that. Thank you. Thank you. Mission Ecologic. Thank you very much. Yeah, it is talent to be able to look at a finished crocheted project and do it, especially doilies. My mother loves doilies. She does. But, yeah, this is what I do. This is what I do. And this is what I love to do it. I love to do it. And I challenge myself. I try to challenge myself because I always find an easy way to do it. I always find an easy way to do it. But yeah. See, well, mostly now I'm just teaching. I do like to take commissions every now and then. From October to December, I pretty much concentrate on finishing up anything Christmas that I want to get done for gifts. And then in January, I start taking commissions again. Would I do what with your yarn? Oh, you're talking about trapping floats? Yeah, I can show you that here on this piece right here that I got out. It'll take a few more minutes. I'm going to set my pattern up here. You guys are going to think that my eyes only work like straight on most of the time. So, I have my pattern book with clothespins on a makeup mirror. It's on a stand. So I can stand it straight up. So I can work easier. See, well, I would be happy to make you a sweater. With your yarn. Yeah, it does work for me. It works very well for me. I mean, I've had a lot of things change with my eyes over the last couple of years. I have to be looking straight on at something. I don't care if it's on the floor. I got to be looking straight down. If it's laying on my desk, I pretty much have to be standing up looking straight down at it to be able to see it clearly. And I don't know what's caused that. The doctors, I've been to the eye doctors for double vision. And it's funny, I shouldn't have double vision. I can only see out of one eye. Double vision is when both eyes aren't syncing. The information isn't hitting the brain at the same time. You know, they're kind of working independently of each other instead of together. But only one works. So why is my vision doubled? I don't know. Neither did the doctors. They're perplexed. They're perplexed. So, but yes. I do what works for me, and I share it because other people might be looking for, you know, the same relief. So I share. I have stumped the doctors. But let me pick this up and find out here really quickly where we are, or where I am on here, and I will show you how to trap these floats. And when I do color work, I work with two hands. I can't hold both over here and catch floats. It's impossible for my brain. That's okay. I'm getting ready to show you right now because I was jabbering. I need to find out where is my. Ooh. Please tell me I didn't move it away. Hopefully I stuck it in here. I'm looking for my row counter. I had it on the desk earlier. And that might be what fell in the floor. Let me see here. 2, 2, and 5. I'm on row 5. I'm going to have to find that row counter because it's the only thing that's helping me keep count of where I was at. And I bet you that what fell in the floor earlier. But all right, my next 3 stitches are going to be, per this pattern that I wrote out, going to be the white stitches. Okay, so make sure I got this loose and it's not underneath of there. All right, so the first stitch I'm going to do just a regular knit stitch. The second stitch, because it's this yarn that I'm using, I have to wrap this yarn because if not, I'm going to leave it behind. I don't think I'm going to use this phone anymore. It just dulls out my screen. But I will wrap with the non-working yarn. Then I will wrap with the color that I want. And then I will unwrap with this yarn. And I don't know if you can see that really well. Good morning, Smurf. And then the next stitch, I'm just going to do normal, because I'm catching my floats every other one. Now I've done those 3 white stitches, and I need to do 5 of this fairy tale, or this wine colored stitch here. So I'm going to do 1 in the wine color. Then I'm going to catch this white, because I don't want to leave the white back here behind doing 5 stitches and then having to draw it all the way across. I'm going to lay it over the top of my needle, and then when I wrap with the maroon, it's going to drop down behind there. And then I just perform this stitch as normal, and you see I've got the red stitch and not the white one. Now when I go to do the next stitch, you see the white one still hanging out here. That's when it's going to get trapped underneath of this when I wrap my needle. Okay, and then do a plain stitch, and then catch the float, again laying it over top of my knitting needle, wrapping. And I'll have to show you this again because it doesn't seem to be coming through here very clear. I don't know what's up with this phone and this light, but it doesn't want to work. And you have, depending on where your yarn is, which hand it's in, you wrap it a different way, because you can't wrap them both the same way. And this one, because I'm using the maroon, this one's going to get laid over. And then when I go to use the white, this one has to come up, wrap with the color you're going to use, unwrap with the first one. And you see how right here it's pulling the white one down, it's trapping it. So that way there's no, and I'll show you the back side of here. There's no long stitches to be caught on your fingers, on your rings, on your watches, on anything as you put these clothing on. I did change up in this project simply because this is my sister's and she's not going to mind. You can see here where I started, and I have some pretty long 3 or 4 stitch floats here that you can almost get your pinky underneath of. Now I saw a video where this gentleman was working, sweaters with colors in them, and he was trapping every other float. I do like the way the outside looks this way. I don't have to worry so much about my tension because I am catching every other float. But down here, you can see it with the naked eye. You see where I've got a little bit of puckering here, a little bit here. That was back in the beginning when I was drawing stitches over 3 or 4 in the back. And you can see here, the longer floats will sometimes cause a little rippling effect. That does come out when you block, as long as they're not too tight. But I did notice that up here, it's not as bad. That rippling is not as bad up here. So it's going to look a lot better after it's been blocked and washed, doing it that way. Good morning, Smurf, if I didn't say it already. I think I may have because I saw you come in. But I am getting ready to end for today. We are a little after 10 o'clock, and I'm usually only on from 8 to 10 on Tuesday morning for class. If you have anything that you want to see, hit me up with a message. Anything you need help with, knit, crochet, pattern-wise, hit me up with a message. I'm glad to see you this morning, too. But yes, hit me up, CM, we'll plan something out. You rock, too. There's parts of this craft that you do that I would love to see. There's an alpaca farm down the street from me. And I don't know if they, do all that. I'm sure they do shear the wool and everything off of them and sell it. But there's also another one further down, probably about 30 to 40 minutes from my house. They actually have a store where they sell the spun yarn. They actually shear the alpacas and the sheep. They spin and dye the wool, and they sell it right there. So, I do have some. It's a Journey tweed from Knit Picks, and it's got alpaca and silk and wool and something else in it. It is really light, and it is really warm for being as light as it is. And I'm thinking about making some fingerless gloves out of those. I did do socks, slipper socks, and I found them somewhere. Now I've lost them again because I don't have pictures of them on TikTok. But I do have the slipper socks that I made for my husband. They were light blue Converse slipper sock. Oh, this colorway here, this here, this is Red Heart, and the colorway is called Reef. It's worsted weight acrylic. Yeah, it's called Reef, Red Heart. Yeah, I want to make some Christmas stockings and all that kind of stuff out of knit, but it's definitely going to be color work. Might put some holly leaves and some berries on them or something. But yeah, definitely. Definitely. So, I'm going to go ahead and end for today. I might be back on later this afternoon just working on this and chitter-chattering, depending on how I feel, but I'm definitely going to be working on this. So, yeah. Yeah, I made gloves. Yep. You have a blessed day too. And make sure you follow me, and if you click on the bell on my profile page, make sure you select all notifications. TikTok has its default set to personalized, which means if I tag you, you'll get it. But if you select all, you'll be notified when I go live. And it's normally after 11:30 every other, other days other than Tuesday. Tuesday I'm on at 8 to 10. So, and I'm not on every day, but if I do come on, it'll be after 11:30. If I'm on in the morning, it's a surprise. So, may all your stitch counts